Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal, shalom and good day. You are listening to Awaz Community Radio. And today in the studio we have Christie Spurling. If you'd like to know a bit more about our guest, catch us on Facebook. Just type in Awaz Community Radio. You can tweet us at Awaz Radio 122. Give us a call on 0161 839 9817 or email us awazcommunityradio@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to Awaz Community Radio. Your host for today is Saira, and my guest is Christie Spurling. Welcome to the studio, Christie.
Morning, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you in. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
So, I'm Christie, I'm 40, and I run a charity, married with two girls. So,
great stuff. So, can you tell us a bit more about your charity? It's called N-Gage.
Yep, so I set it up, it's been running for 9 years, and we work with young people at risk of being excluded. We've got a 7.5 tonne truck that we converted into a mobile youth centre, and that goes out onto estates all over Manchester. It's just somewhere for them to come and sit and chat to us. It's got like Xboxes, PlayStations, lots of games and different activities for them to keep them occupied, keep them out of trouble. And then we also go into schools and work with young people at risk of being excluded. So we've got 3 different programmes that we run, all aimed at getting alongside quite challenging young people and helping them to realise their full potential. Great.
And some of our Facebook friends may remember we've actually been to one of your mobile units, one of the trucks, when it was in the Cheatwood area, and it's really great stuff because it was at night we went and we found that there was, you can't miss it. Mm-hmm. It's big. How big did you say it was?
7.5 tonne. So
7.5 tonne trucks. You can't really miss it.
No.
And it's parked up in different areas, and it's great because you've got opportunities for kids to get off the streets and do something a bit, more constructive, a bit more fun.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We've just got some funding to expand that project, and we're actually looking at getting a new vehicle. So we've got money to buy. We're looking at a single decker bus, and we're going to convert that and put like a music space on it. It'll be similar to the one we've got, but it'll just be a little bit higher spec. So it'll have some music space somewhere for them to come and sit and have a drink. An area where they can find out about like jobs and apprenticeships and that kind of thing. So we're hoping to launch that early in the new year.
That sounds ideal. Yeah, definitely. That's the next step, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not just to give them fun activities, but perhaps help them in a way towards their working future.
Yeah, it's about signposting them and trying to find out what their needs are and then putting them into the right sort of places where they can get that support.
So can I ask, what inspired you to set up N-Gage?
I had quite an interesting childhood. Got kicked out of school when I was 14. I was adopted, really struggled with being adopted, and hated nursery, I hated primary school. I really didn't get on very well in secondary school, and I found myself excluded when I was 14, and I ended up being put in a residential unit, which was about 200 miles away from home. So I basically lived there for 2 years, away from my parents, away from all sort of friends and family. It was quite a challenging place to be. There was a lot of very sort of hurt, damaged young people who'd had a lot of stuff happening to them. I think really I was one of the lucky ones. I was just there because I'd ended up being excluded from high school. And then when I left, I had a choice. I could either kind of make a bit of a name for myself for all the wrong reasons or try and do something positive.
So you feel you can really identify with people who feel disconnected today, who feel neglected, but perhaps feel that they don't have many options today. You feel that you've got that background.
Yeah, I guess running through the whole of the centre of N-Gage is sort of my ideas, my experience, my early years, and then trying to do stuff that stops people making some of the mistakes that I made, but also giving them some of the support that I didn't have when I was younger, and trying to find ways of preventing people making the same mistakes.
So if there's young people out there who are listening to this show and thinking about wanting to get involved, how can they get involved with it, N-Gage?
I guess the first thing is keep an eye out for the new vehicle in the new year, because we'll be launching that. If there's any sort of young people that are out there who've got ideas about where they want it to go, what sorts of areas it might be needed, and we're looking at sort of Moston, Blakely, Cheetham Hill, those sorts of areas. So if there's young people that want to get in touch with us and tell us that they think there's not much for them to do around there, then we could certainly look at putting it on those streets. And I guess we do something called the Young Leaders Programme. So if we've got young people and they've got like a bit of leadership potential, or they're sort of just able to be a positive role model, we get them involved in helping to design projects. So it might be like some young people might come to us and say there's a bit of a park near us that needs a bit of a tidy up, so we'd get them involved in doing a clean up, and then they get a reward for it. So there's things that we can get them involved in where they're actually making an impact in their community and doing something that they've identified they want to do.
Do you feel something like this is even more important today when we have all the cutbacks going on, austerity-wise? With young people, I guess maybe our generation have always said that not enough for them to do, but I guess that feels even more real today when there are cutbacks happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of youth centres that are shutting, a lot of community work, a lot of projects that are really struggling for money. So I guess my argument has always been to anyone that kind of asked me that question is if we're not there supporting the young people, and something or someone else will kind of fill that gap, and it's not always positive stuff. So it is, I understand that there's less money and we have to make cutbacks and that kind of thing, but I do feel certainly in recent years young people have had an unfair proportion of those cuts kind of pushed down on them, particularly with the youth centres shutting.
So, N-Gage is even more important to young people because, it's giving them opportunities that, are being lost at the moment. Yeah,
it's very reactionary. When you've got a vehicle, you can take it to where it's needed. You can, if you identify that there's a need in a certain area, you can move things around a little bit. I guess when you've got a building, you're a bit more fixed. So I think with the cuts and the austerity, the beauty of something like N-Gage is it can move around and it can be a bit fluid.
I believe you've also got a book out at the moment.
Yep. So as I just kind of said a minute ago, I had a very interesting sort of childhood. So when I set up N-Gage, I felt it'd be really good to kind of share with people some of my story and how I ended up doing what I was doing. So I wrote it. It took about 2.5 years to do it from start to finish, and then I self-published it. And I think we had about 1,000 printed, and I've got rid of it. There's about 500 left, 600 left. So we've got rid of quite a few.
So it's an autobiography.
Yeah, it's just my story from start to finish, from sort of being born up to sort of last year when we were starting to launch some new projects.
And how can our listeners get a copy?
You can go on our website, or you can just drop an email to our office. Website's www.n-gage.org.uk, and email is admin@n-gage.org.uk. So yeah.
I feel it's very inspiring stuff, that you've taken the negativity in your life and you turned it around and turned it into something positive.
Yeah, I was supported through it. I had I think I was one of the lucky ones. A lot of sort of youth workers and teachers got alongside me and really encouraged me. But I was just, as a younger lad, I was determined not to fall into a trap of becoming just another statistic that ended up in prison. I think if I'd have carried on going the way I was going, I probably would have ended up somewhere not particularly positive. So I just made a decision, and I think I was just lucky that I came into contact with people who were able to help and support me, and that's why I feel really passionate about it now, because all it takes is a bit of time and effort to get alongside really difficult young people, and you can completely change their lives and get them on the right track. And I've seen it, just hundreds of times over the past few years where you've got alongside young people and they've been on the verge of being excluded from school or getting involved in antisocial behaviour, and just by being there for them, they've gone on to achieve loads more.
I know it sounds like a cliche, but young people are the future, and if we're not investing in them, our time and energy, then it's not a very good future really we've got then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think absolutely agree. Young people are the future. I think whenever I'm working with young people, I always think, what with a bit of potential and with the right support, where could you be now? You could be the next politician, you could be the next police officer, you could be whatever you want. So I think society puts too many labels on young people, and I think sometimes we just need a bit of help and support to get them on the right track.
And I guess, this generation also has the added pressures of social media, the way it's developed and it's expanding.
Social media is massive. I mean, you can send a tweet, you can Facebook someone, you can if it's used for things that are negative, which it quite often is, I think it's a real challenge. It's something that we really have to think about, how we engage with young people, particularly when we're promoting our work and stuff, and how we, whether we set up Facebook pages for them to join us, stuff like that. But it is a huge issue.
So why did you call the charity N-Gage? I mean, I guess it's almost self-explanatory, but why choose that word over other ones?
Because I wanted to be quite intentional in the fact that we were willing to engage with young people. So it's a youth charity, and we want to engage with young people. At the time when we did it, it was quite trendy to use like a letter and then a little hyphen and then a few other words as well.
Oh, that's still trendy, Christie.
Yeah, so that was part of the reason as well. But I think it's just very obvious to anyone that hears it what it is we try to do, and we're a youth charity and we try to engage. So that was the reason.
That's pretty good. Thank you very much, Christie, for coming in.
No worries.
It's been great to have the CEO of the charity itself coming in and talking to us about N-Gage.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening. If you would like a bit more information, you can email us on awazcommunityradio@gmail.com. Give us a call on 0161 839 9817. We're on Facebook, just type in Awaz Community Radio, and good old-fashioned Twitter, it's at Awaz Radio 122. Give us a call, give us some feedback, let us know what you're thinking. Thank you for listening. Have a lovely day.